So, with the dead scientists and missing people, I think a lot of the missing people are being taken for national security reasons. I think the white hats are going out there, grabbing them, bringing them
Yeah.
back, and saying, "Hey, your life is being threatened because of what you know." And I think some of them over the last 18 months have died because of these threats. And by the way, it's not just U.S. scientists. Chinese scientists, Russian scientists, and European scientists are dying around the world in the same perspective. So someone is trying to keep a monopoly on this technology, and it really only points to one position.
Scientists, 10 dead, 5 missing, most notably David Wilcock, with a focus on, shall we say, off-planet activity and other related matters. Now, this comes at a time where President Trump has announced that we may expect somewhat soon the beginning of the files being released on Area 51 and UFOs and so forth. Uh, and so is this a coincidence? I find it highly suspect. Call me crazy. What are your views, Josh, about the 10 scientists uh, reported dead, including David, and the 5 missing? What's your take on this?
Oh man. Well, so a number of things is I've been actually on this topic for quite a while, quite a few years. I've been involved in this. I have a few different contacts in Washington D.C., within Congress, within the DoD, various intelligence agencies. You know this. We've talked about this before, and this is one topic that I get updated on occasionally. And a lot of the information that I've been getting last few months, and I actually put this out before this became a trend, is that the 10 missing scientists, and there's 9 missing scientists, or 9 missing or dead scientists, and General McCaslin, who was the head of Wright-Pat Air Force Advanced Research Lab, retired back in 2014. He's missing as well. And the number is actually significantly higher. If you just go for the last 18 months, that number is probably around 25. The most recent they added to that was Amy Eskridge, who was a parent, unalived herself 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And she has some very interesting connections because there's Havana syndrome connections to her. You have Matt Sullivan, who was in the intelligence community. He was set to testify in front of Congress. And a week before he was set to testify, he died of apparent accidental drug overdose. You're seeing all of this happen right now, right in front of our eyes. And there's a lot of reasoning behind why this could be happening. So one thing that's happening in the Trump administration, if we go back a few months ago, there is this kind of play that occurs within what I call the constructive narratives of Washington, D.C. and politics. You have Trump's daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, coming out on podcast saying that President Trump has a speech ready for aliens and UFO disclosure. And they're like, oh my God, really? This is crazy. 2 days later, former President Barack Obama comes out and he's asked a question, are aliens real? And he goes, yeah, well, yeah, they are real. And people are like, wait, what did he just say? Now Trump comes out and comments on Barack Obama and says he shouldn't have done that. He said he was getting that from classified
Yes.
information, and now I have to release it all. And then the government goes out there, reserves aliens.gov. And this looks more like kind of like a planned sequence of things. I don't want to say that he was planned with Obama, but hey, this is kind of the way the flow of things was going. Then we start getting into McCaslin goes missing and other people start to die off, and we start to see the trend line back in the history. And this is the perspective I want people to begin to have. In 52, after the Holloman UFO meeting, so this was Eisenhower, U.S. military, they go to Holloman Air Force Base and they go into a hangar after a UFO lands and they meet with some type of aliens or some type of beings that are not human. We'll just call it that, non-human intelligence. And apparently in this meeting, they made a deal. Now, what that deal was, I don't know the details of it. We have rumors and stuff like this of it. But what begins to happen at that point is you start getting the national security directives, you start getting all of the war powers framework that really constructs our military right now. And much of this framework that set up the Department of Energy, that built out this whole compartmentalization structure of how the intelligence apparatus actually works, was developed around keeping secret the technology that was being acquired by the US government with this exotic technology from advanced civilizations that we've discovered in archaeological digs, or maybe even from non-human intelligence that was being given to us. And one of the ways that Eisenhower did this is that They basically buried it under SAP programs. So you have various different SAP programs. You have WooSAPs, USAPs, SAPs, CAPs, all of these different things. And so you have waived special access programs, unacknowledged special access programs. And this is just a way to funnel money into these projects without congressional oversight. So
Mm.
once it goes into there, the military takes it into the national labs, it takes it into all of the propulsion laboratories, but then it gets contracted out there directly through kind of like the National Science Foundation in the DOE and various different contracts. A lot of universities get involved in this, but primarily this technology is held and the scientists working on it are from defense contractors or the military industrial complex. So when Eisenhower warned, be warned of the military industrial complex, he was saying this because he just gifted them all of this highly advanced technology that nobody knew anything about and in hopes that they could reverse engineer it. But he knew that at some point that they could become more powerful than nations on this planet.
Mm.
Now, I believe that this move was done primarily to protect this technology from the globalists, from the cabal, from the deep state. We actually see a trend of this. Now, I mean, it's a logical question, John, is if the deep state had access to advanced extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or exotic technology, faster than light propulsion, directed energy weapons that could beam anywhere on the planet at any point in time, don't you think that they would already rule the world and they would have depopulated by 85% by now?
Without
I think
question.
they would have,
No question
without a
about it.
question.
Yeah.
So that means that somebody was holding that technology from them. And
Hmm.
we call them the white hats, right? Those are the white hats. So we've been holding that technology from them for a very, very long time until our science could catch up to be able to actually reverse engineer this technology and begin integrating it. But to do that, you have to build a new infrastructure, new types of frameworks. You have to have supercomputing. You have to have all of these things. You know, they cracked faster than light travel from these craft back in the 1980s. The problem is controlling the technology because it operates at such a high data throughput and high energy throughput that we didn't have the computational technology to actually operate it. But now with the advancements of quantum computers and stuff like that, we have the technology. So this is what we need to see is that the military industrial complex, they have this technology. They figured out and reverse engineered a lot of it. But John, they have the next 250 years of technological development and advancement at the palm of their hands. They have insurability and survivability of profit for the next 250 years.
Wow.
Now, any time that someone rose up in the scientific community that was maybe developing research or a technology that would deviate towards the discovery that they've already found out that's clandestine and secret, what do they have to do? They have to get rid of them. And they start to take these people out. Why? Because it's a competitive landscape. We're talking about survivability of their whole infrastructure for the next 250 years. But Donald Trump has different plans. And what I got from someone I know directly in Washington, D.C., I'm not going to give positions or names, but is that we are in the midst of what's known as an executive reauthorization over this technology. And what that means, and I just had Congressman Tim Burchett on my show. Okay,
Hmm.
Congressman Tim Burchett's been talking about this, and I said, are we witnessing right now? Because this is the words that I was told by someone in DC to tell Burchett. And I said, are we witnessing an executive reauthorization over this technology? He goes, yes, absolutely. What that means is that the president is now going out there and saying, hey, Eisenhower was good to do this, to hold it off for a while, but guess what? Now we're taking the technology back. And so this culminated last week with reports that DNI Tulsi Gabbard, last week, she landed at Nellis Air Base in Nevada, got on a Janet flight, and flew over to Area 51
Mm.
by direction of President Trump.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Now, something just happened Friday, right after this. Remember, this
Hmm.
is Friday.
Hmm.
Trump fired the entire board of the National Science Foundation.
Wow.
And
Things are
who did I tell
happening.
you is, yep, who's the intermediary for all this information and the control of it? The National Science Foundation board. They're the gatekeepers. So things are happening right now. And what you're seeing is Trump is going in, trying to regain control over this technology and bring it back into the military. So with the dead scientists and missing people, I think a lot of the missing people are being taken for national security reasons. I think the white hats are going out there, grabbing them, bringing
Yeah.
them back and saying, hey, your life is being threatened because of what you know. And I think some of them over the last 18 months have died because of these threats. And by the way, it's not just US scientists. Chinese scientists, Russian scientists, and European scientists are dying around the world in the same perspective. So someone is trying to keep a monopoly on this technology, and it really only points to one position. Now, at least that's my theory on this and in the information that I've gotten.
We are at war, and we must unite in truth. Subscribe for free at johnmichaelchambers.com for my monthly communique, which includes alerts, warnings, announcements, and access to my most valuable resource network to help you to navigate this storm. With your free subscription, you will also receive a digital copy of one of my books, Trump and the Resurrection of America, an Amazon 5-star rated book and 6-star rated by the late Robert David Steele. Won't you join me as we take our country back and redirect humanity on this much-needed course correction? Remain informed, empowered, and connected, and subscribe today at johnmichaelchambers.com.